Where are your fingers? Really, it's a very easy question. You should be able to answer it. But how do you know? How does anyone know something? You might say, well, I know where my fingers are. I'm looking at them. Or I can touch them, I can feel them, they're right here, and that's good. Your senses are a fantastic way to learn things. In fact, in some ways, we have more than the 5 senses we talked about. For example, your kinesthetic sense, proprioception. This is what police evaluate during a field sobriety test. It allows you to tell where your fingers, arms, head, and legs are on your body in relation to each other without having to look or touch other things. We have more than 5 senses, at least we have twice that many, but they are not perfect. There are optical illusions, auditory illusions, temperature sensation illusions, even tactile illusions. Can you turn your tongue upside down? If so, perfect. Try this. Slide your finger along the outer edge of the tip of your tongue upside down. Your tongue will be able to feel your finger, but on the wrong side. Our brain never needed to develop an understanding of touch on the back of the tongue. Thus, when you touch the right side of your tongue when it is bent to the left side, you perceive a sensation on the opposite side, where your tongue usually is, but where it is not when it is turned. It's pretty strange, cool, and a little sobering because it shows the limits of the accuracy of our senses, the only tools we have to know what's out there and here. The philosophy of knowledge, the study of knowledge, is called epistemology. Plato famously said that the things we know are things that are real, that we believe in and have a justification for believing. These justifications could be irrational or rational. They could be based on evidence. But don't get too confident because proven is not synonymous with true. Fortunately, there are things we can know without needing proof, without even needing to leave the house. Things we can know to be true through reason alone. These are things we know a priori. An example would be the statement, all single people are not married. I don't have to survey every single person on earth to know that's true. All singles are not married because that is how we define the word single. Of course, first of all, you should know what the words single and unmarried mean. Oh, you know, okay, perfect. That's great, but how do you know? This time I mean in functional terms, how do you know? Where is knowledge biologically in the brain? How are memories created? We're a long way from being able to answer that question completely, but research has shown that memories do not exist in the brain in unique locations. Instead, what we call a memory is probably made up of many different complex relationships throughout the brain, between lots of brain cells, neurons. A major cellular mechanism underlying memory formation is thought to be long-term potentiation, or LTP. When one neuron stimulates another neuron repeatedly, that signal can be enhanced with LTP over time, connecting them more strongly, and that connection can last for a long time, even a lifetime. A group of different brain cells, neurons that activate together in a specific order and again frequently and repeatedly can achieve long-term potentiation and become more sensitive to each other and more ready to activate in the same way in the future. There is something physical in your brain which activates together more easily because you strengthen the activation pattern. You memorize. This forest of active friends looks messy, but look closer. It could be the memory of your first kiss, a living memory of the event. If I went into your brain and cut out those cells, could I make you forget your first kiss? Or could I make you forget where your fingers are? Only if I could cut out a big part of your brain, because memories are not just stored in a relationship, they are stored throughout the brain. The events leading up to your first kiss are stored in one network, the way it felt, and the smell in different networks, which together form what you call the memory of your first kiss. How many memories can fit inside your head? What is the storage capacity of the human brain? The best we can do is give a rough estimate, but given the number of neurons in the brain involved in memories and the number of different connections a single neuron can make, Paul Reber of Northwestern University calculated that we can store the digital equivalent of almost 2.5 petabytes of information. That is equivalent to recording a television channel continuously for 300 years. It is a lot of information. It's a lot of information about your skills, facts, and people you've met, real-world stuff. The world is real, right? How do you know? It's a difficult question, but it doesn't take a genius. Instead, it's a question about whether geniuses exist. The theory that the sun moved around the Earth worked very well. It predicted that the sun would rise every morning, and it did. It was not until later that we realized that what we thought was true was not true. Therefore, will we ever know the true reality, or are we trapped in a world where the best we can do is get closer to the truth? We discover more and more useful theories every day, but we never really get to the true objective reality. Can science or reason ever convincingly prove that your friends and YouTube videos and your fingers really exist beyond your mind? That you don't just live in the Matrix? No, your mind is all you have. Even if you use instruments like a telescope or particle accelerators, the final stop for all that information is ultimately you. You're only in your brain, which technically makes it impossible to prove that anything else exists. This is called an egocentric dilemma. Everything you know about the outside world depends on your brain and is created inside it. This mattered a lot to Charles Sanders Peirce, who drew a line between reality, the way the universe really is, and what he called the phaneron, the world filtered through our senses and bodies, the only information we can get to speak. You certainly live there. That is, you react, remember, and experience your phaneron, not reality. The belief that only you exist, and everything else, food, the universe, your friends are all products of your mind, is called solipsism. There is no way to convince a solipsist that the outside world is real. And there's no way to convince anyone that the universe wasn't created 3 seconds ago along with all our memories. It's a terrifying realization that we don't always know how to deal with. There's even defense of the Matrix. In 2002, Toda Lynn Ansley shot and killed her landlady. She argued that she believed she was in the Matrix, that her crimes were not real. Through the Matrix defense, she was not found guilty due to insanity, because the opposite view is only healthier and more common. It's called realism. Realism is the belief that the outside world exists independently of your own phaneron. The rocks, stars, and Thora Birch would still exist, even if you weren't around to experience them. But you can't know if realism is true. All you can do is believe. Martin Gardner, a great source of magical mathematical tricks, explained that he is not a solipsist because realism is just a more convenient and healthy way, and it works. Regarding whether he was worried about never being able to know if realism was real, he wrote, "If you ask me to tell you something about the nature of what lies beyond the phaneron, my answer is, how should I know? I am not dismayed by mysteries. Definitive, I can't understand more of what's behind those questions than what my cat understands is behind the noise I make when writing this paragraph. What catches my attention is the cat. Keyboards, but you know they can be a fun place to be. It's a great way to get a human's attention. They're warm and exciting. They're surrounded by noises and flashing lights. Plus, cats love to leave their scent wherever they are, a mark of its existence. We are not very different, except that instead of keyboards, we have the mysteries of the universe. We will never be able to understand them all. We will not even be able to answer each question, but circling around those questions, exploring them is fun. It feels good. And as always, thanks for watching. Do you want more unanswered questions? Well, you're in luck. Today, 9 more amazing channels on YouTube made videos about questions we still haven't fully answered. All Time 10s organized them, and to see them all, you must click on the annotation at the end of this video or the link at the beginning of the description. Enjoy them.